91st Academy Awards happened yesterday. I thought it'd be pretty good to outline my thoughts and opinions on the show and all the award winners. I didn't actually watch the show though, because I'm from the UK and it airs a ridiculous time over here. I've never been able to stay up for these kind of award shows. The same thing happens with the Grammys too. These kinds of shows finish at like 3 or 4 in the morning on a Sunday. It's just not ideal for me to watch these kind of things, so I've never actually stayed up to watch an awards ceremony. I just typically outline my thoughts and opinions on the winners. I don't know anything about whatever happened throughout the night. I see a few speeches here and there, but yeah, that's really about it. One thing I will say, as a huge music guy, as I pretty much am known for, the Oscars are much better than the Grammys. If you're a big film person and you get mad at the Oscars every year, you should just remember that it's nowhere near as bad as what we have to go through with the Grammys. Believe me, it's fine. You're good over here. However, though, every year comes with controversies with the Oscars. Remember when La La Land won when it didn't win, and Moonlight won instead? That was pretty ridiculous. And this year has come with even more controversies, except it isn't actually within the awards ceremony this time. There was a best popular film that got announced, which as soon as the Academy realized no one liked this idea, they completely scrapped. But to punish everyone, they thought it would be good to place Black Panther in the Best Picture category instead. So, everyone complaining caused this, because obviously that was the reason why they wanted a Best Popular Film award. And maybe that would have been a good idea, because instead they decided that Black Panther was in the top 8 best films of 2018. I mean, look, anyone that's seen more than 20 films throughout of 2018 could probably guess that Black Panther wasn't in the top 8 best films of the entire year. Come on, guys. So Best Popular Film was a terrible idea. They punished us all by just throwing in the most popular film of the year in the actual awards. The first time a superhero film has ever been nominated. I hope it's the last, because honestly most of these films don't typically have much to them, other than this film did have a bit more to it than the usual Marvel DC film, I must admit, but it certainly wasn't all that rewarding as a film overall, to be honest. But other controversies came along the way, of course. It just seems to happen every year with the Oscars. Obviously, Bryan Singer had all of the allegations surrounding him. I don't know much about this, so I won't get into too much detail, but many people were very angry at the idea of Bohemian Rhapsody getting as many nominations as it did. Most people went into the film came out of the film thinking, hey, Rami Malek did a great job, but the film itself wasn't that good, and I will stand by that opinion as well, because honestly, that is pretty much how Bohemian Rhapsody turned out. Most of the film wasn't that great, and of course with the allegations surrounding the director, kind of gave it a bit of an iffy lead going into the Oscars. And then even more controversies came, because they decided that it would be a good idea to scrap 4 categories from TV, instead just do them in the background when no one's watching, and because no one cares about these things apparently, even though film lovers care about these categories. It was ridiculous. But they scrapped that idea as well, because they keep backtracking on everything they say and realize that no one actually likes the ideas that they come out with. But at the end of the day, they're probably just doing it to garner buzz around the show. But then we get to the actual awards ceremony, and I've got to say there were a lot of great decisions made on the actual night. In my opinion anyway. Of course, these kind of things are very opinion based. They don't really matter at the end of the day, but we always care about them anyway. Every year we say that the Grammys don't matter, but we care. We say that the Oscars don't really matter, but we care, and because we do care. And in my opinion, I think there were a lot of great decisions made, but I think I will talk about those first and then talk about my opinions on the things that went differently. I'll start off with Best Director, because I do actually think the Best Director was a perfectly excellent decision. Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, a great film. The directing in that film was outstanding. In my opinion, I think it was the best element of the film. I think the way he used so many amazing different shots and utilized the scenery was amazing. The film is a great film overall, but yeah, his directing was definitely the highlight of the film for me. But I think the category was a really good one, because I would have absolutely been okay with Yorgos winning. I think it would have been awesome to see him win for The Favourite, especially considering The Favourite didn't really pick up that many awards throughout the night, to be honest. And same with Cold War as well. Paweł Pawlikowski, I'm saying his name probably wrong. Cold War, great directing in that film. Those three films would have been perfect for this award, but it went to a person that I think did deserve it the most. Then we'll go to Best Actor and Best Actress. I think these were perfectly fine as well. I know a lot of people have issues with Rami Malek's performance. A lot of people say he was just impersonating Freddie Mercury. All it was just an impression. But at the end of the day, that's what you're going to get with a biopic. Like, what else can you expect? He did a fine job as Freddie Mercury. Maybe it was a bit over the top at times. You know, he definitely threw on a bit of a camp accent at times, and I don't think Freddie Mercury was fully like that, and especially behind the scenes I don't think he was quite as flamboyant as Rami Malek performed him, but I still think his performance was really good nevertheless. A lot of people were rooting for Bradley Cooper, which would have been a fine win too. I don't think I would have been that bothered, but I think this was a weak category overall anyway. I mean, Ethan Hawke was completely snubbed. I think for First Reformed, I think he should have won the award. There were other actors too that did a great job in 2018, like Jim Cummings from Thunder Road, Daveed Diggs from Blind Spotting. Like, these were such great performances. I don't know how they got completely snubbed in favor of Christine Bale and Viggo Mortensen. Like, they didn't really play their roles that well. They were fine, but they certainly weren't best of the year. And then Best Actress went to Olivia Colman, the person I was rooting for. I did actually think, though, Glenn Close was going to take that award. That was my prediction going into it. But to see Olivia Colman win, she was easily the best out of all those performances. Like, there wasn't really a competition, to be honest, for me. Like, I don't think Lady Gaga was anywhere near the ability of Olivia Colman. Melissa McCarthy, again, they were both fine in their roles, but they were just nowhere near Olivia Colman, so I was absolutely happy to see her win. Best Animated Feature Film, completely fine with Spider-Man winning. I probably would have gone Isle of Dogs, actually, but either for me, I don't really mind either of those winning. So I'm happy with this win for Spider-Man. It was a really, really good film. Best Foreign Language Film, don't think it was going to go to anyone else other than Roma, and I'm totally fine with that. So yeah, I mean, a lot of good awards that went out that night. I can't really argue with too many of them. Cinematography also went to Roma. Can't argue with that whatsoever. Would have been nice to see Cold War win, as I think the cinematography was stunning in that film. But Roma is such a good film that I can't really get too mad at that either. But to be honest, there are a lot of these awards that I have to say I disagree with, and I'll get through with them now. May as well start with the biggest one, and that is Best Picture going to Green Book. Now, I'll be honest, Green Book to me is pretty bad. Like, I actually didn't enjoy that film whatsoever. I think it was just an incredibly dull film. It was so repetitive. Pretty much what they did throughout the film was they sat in the car and talked, and then they got out of the car and they went into a performance, and then they got back in the car the next day and they drove again, and then they did another performance, and then... And to top it off, I don't think the dialogue was that interesting either. Like, they didn't really have many interesting conversations. The scenes in the car were kind of stupid, to be honest. I mean, the whole thing with the chicken I probably appealed to old people, but the humor of that was just so bad, and the directing in the film was really bland too. There was just no interesting elements for the film whatsoever. For me, it was the worst film nominated. Like, it actually was the worst film out of the entire 8 films there. So I know that's obviously just my opinion. Some people thought Bohemian Rhapsody was the worst. Some people thought Vice was the worst. But I think most people can agree that those 3 films were definitely the bottom tier of the entire category. So the fact that one of those 3 films that most film people have been agreeing that are the weakest films out of the category ended up winning, it's just it's pretty laughable. Like, I don't see how The Favourite or Roma didn't get picked instead. Like, they were easily the best films out of the whole thing. So yeah, easily one of the worst Best Picture wins of the decade, and probably of the entire 21st century, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't understand how this ended up winning over the two films, like easily some of the best of the entire year. But we'll see how time tells. In 10 years' time, will we look back at this as a good win, or won't we? I don't know, but I don't think I will be looking back at it as a strong victory at all. Now we go to Best Supporting Actor and Actress. They both put in good performances. I can't really deny. Mahershala Ali actually was really good. Personally, I think I would have gone Richard E. Grant, though. I think it would have been cool to see him win for Can You Ever Forgive Me. I didn't love that film, but I certainly liked his performance. He was one of my favourite parts of the film. Whereas Mahershala Ali, I mean, we've seen him perform better, much more in other films, like Moonlight. His win for that film was absolutely deserving, but I don't think his performance was that great in Green Book, honestly, if I'm being totally honest. However, as well, I want to mention how he wasn't really the supporting actor either. He was the main actor in that film, I think. So, just would have been good to see Richard E. Grant win. On the other hand, though, we have Regina King, who had very little screen time in comparison to someone like Mahershala Ali. I don't know if she did that great of a job to win an award, so if Mahershala Ali can win for basically being the main actor, then surely Emma Stone or Rachel Weisz could win for Best Supporting Actress, because they were amazing in The Favourite. Amy Adams was pretty much a whatever performance, but those two actresses from The Favourite should have won Best Supporting Actress, I think. Giving Green Book original screenplay is a pretty much slap in the face, to be honest, because it's a biopic, so there's nothing really original about it. I don't understand how that can win original screenplay over The Favourite. Even First Reformed deserved that over Green Book. And as much as I like BlacKkKlansman, I think I would have preferred If Beale Street Could Talk winning adapted screenplay, to be honest, because I think the story in that film was actually really quite good, and I think that was the award that If Beale Street Could Talk really should have taken home. Would have been good to see Minding the Gap take the documentary award, honestly. I think that's such an amazing documentary that I'll be thinking about for years to come. So if you haven't seen that already, please do watch that. And now we're on the sound editing and sound mixing. Bohemian Rhapsody taking both home is pretty disappointing. Sound editing, honestly, should have gone to First Man, and then the mixing should have gone to Roma. Like, they were the obvious wins for me. Honestly, actually, you know what? Star is Born would have been fine winning too. I think the mixing in that film was actually pretty solid. As much as I don't love the film, but you can't really deny that the live performance sounded incredibly crisp. And considering the backlash towards Bohemian Rhapsody for the editing in general, to then win Best Editing is pretty laughable, because there was some awful editing on something I didn't notice when I was actually watching the film at the cinema, but since I've noticed how bad it is, especially in some scenes, the whole like concert scene where it like goes from like Amsterdam to London to blah 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 was pretty poorly edited. But yeah, The Favourite should have took that award too. So The Favourite got snubbed quite a lot throughout the night. It's a shame to see that it didn't win as many awards as it could have. It's pretty clear at this point that it's considered one of the best films of 2018, and you would think with the amount of nominations it went into the Oscars, it would have taken a lot more than it did, but it really got quite snubbed. So it's a shame, really. But yeah, overall, as much as I was happy with a lot of the results, I think overall it was a pretty mixed bag considering the nominations, like the quality of nominations that we went into this with, the films that ended up taking those awards. It's pretty disappointing overall. I guess what the Oscars tend to do their best is just try and give out as many awards to as many different films as they can, but some of the categories just was so blatantly obvious, and yet they ended up going to films that just weren't really that good. It's a real shame to see that it happen. But yeah, overall, I think it was kind of a mixed bag. I mean, it's a shame that people look to these kind of award shows and use it as sort of like a guideline for the year overall. And if you were to look at this Oscars, you would probably think that 2018 wasn't a very good year for film. The same when you look at the Grammys and you think, oh, well, it must have not been a good year for music. But it's never true. Like, it is never true. I mean, these films, Black Panther, Vice, Green Book, Bohemian Rhapsody, Mary Poppins Returns, like, these aren't the best films of the year. And you would think that they would be because of the amount of nominations that they get. But it's really not true, because there were certainly better films throughout the year than these films. So it's a shame, but I guess you got to just take what you can with these kind of award shows. They aren't exactly objective facts, but sometimes you do want better for these shows anyway. So yeah. Let me know your thoughts on the Oscars for 2019 in the comments. If you disagree or agree with me, then that would be great to hear your thoughts anyway. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and have a good day. Goodbye.